Hi guys, welcome back to the Cruise Ship Safety and Security channel. It's Amy here. Today I'm going to give you an insight into my role as a safety officer on board the ship. So sit back while I take you through what I do and the role of a cruise ship chief officer safety. When people think of cruise ships, they imagine sun-soaked decks, dazzling entertainment, and endless buffets. But behind the glamour, there's a world of meticulous planning, rigorous training, and unwavering vigilance, especially when it comes to safety. This video isn't just another deep dive into maritime technology. Instead, it offers an insider's look at the vital role of the cruise ship safety officer, focusing on the human element of the job. From training crew members to responding to emergencies, the safety officer is the unsung hero, ensuring every voyage is as smooth and secure as passengers expect. If you've ever taken a cruise or even a short ferry ride, you'll recognize the rhythm of a journey embarkation, the voyage itself, and the final step back onto dry land. For a safety officer, that cycle plays out behind the scenes in a carefully orchestrated sequence of training, qualifications, and hands-on risk management. Long before passengers set foot on board, safety procedures tailored to each itinerary are developed in ship management offices ashore. Once at sea, it's up to the safety officer to bring those procedures to life, ensuring everything runs like clockwork. Most cruises follow a 7-day schedule, and within that time frame, the safety officer's work unfolds in a structured yet dynamic cycle. Whether compressed into a few intense days or stretched across the full week, the goal remains the same: to complete the voyage exactly as planned. That means passengers return home relaxed and happy. The hard-working crew is rewarded for their efforts, and the ship, this marvel of engineering, remains in peak condition, ready for the next adventure. So, come with me as we step behind the curtain and discover what really goes into keeping a floating city safe at sea. Day 1 on board, often called turnaround day or embarkation day, is a whirlwind of activity. Once the terminal crowd has thinned, and most passengers are now settling into their cabins, exploring the ship, or heading straight for the buffet. For the safety officer, the real work is just beginning. The pre-departure drill, or the muster drill, is the first major event of the voyage, and it's the safety officer's debut in front of a ship full of fresh faces. Held just before the ship sets sail, this drill is an orchestrated effort involving a significant portion of the crew, particularly those responsible for passenger evacuation in an emergency. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of guests gather in orderly rows on the promenade deck, expectant and eager for their holiday at sea. Post-pandemic. On some cruise lines, this is split into watching a video on your phone and then attending your muster station so you know where it is. This is called e-muster. What you may not realise is that behind the scenes, this drill is a carefully planned test of how efficiently the crew can guide passengers to safety should disaster strike. On a cruise ship, safety and hospitality go hand in hand. The hotel side of operations, the vast network of restaurants, bars, housekeeping services, and entertainment functions in perfect sync with the safety officer's mission. The crew, often numbering over 1,000, is divided into a structured hierarchy of officers, staff, and skilled professionals across different departments. Traditionally, cruise ship personnel are split into 2 main groups, hotel and marine. The marine department is further divided into deck, navigation and safety, and engine, machinery and technical operations. Sitting in the senior ranks, the safety officer wears 3 gold stripes on their epaulettes, not just for show, but as a symbol of authority and responsibility. This tradition dates back over a century to the tragic sinking of the Titanic. That event led to the creation of the International Maritime Organization, shortened to IMO, and the Safety of Life at Sea, known as the SOLAS Convention, which today governs maritime safety worldwide. No safety officer worth their salt is ever far from a SOLAS manual. It's the Bible of the profession. In the years since the Titanic sank, the maritime industry has undergone a revolution in its approach to safety. The role of the safety officer has evolved alongside new technologies and methodologies, always striving toward one ultimate goal of protecting lives at sea. And as cruise ships get bigger, smarter, and more complex, so too does the responsibility of those in charge of keeping them safe. The voyage has only just begun, but for the safety officer, every moment counts. Embarkation day isn't just about welcoming eager passengers, it's also the first day for many new crew members stepping aboard. While recruitment starts ashore, final onboarding happens on the ship, and the safety officer plays a critical role in ensuring every crew member is qualified, competent, and ready for the challenges ahead. A typical cruise ship is a floating United Nations, with crew from every continent bringing diverse skills and experiences. Many will never have met the captain before walking up the gangway, yet they are immediately entrusted with not only their primary job, whether bartending, housekeeping, or entertaining guests, but also their emergency duties. When disaster strikes, a bartender might suddenly become an evacuation guide, and a housekeeper could find themselves carrying a stretcher. Modern human resource systems streamline recruitment and training, but the reality is that documentation sometimes gets lost. In today's world of strict port state control inspections, every crew member must be able to prove their safety qualifications. This responsibility often falls on the safety officer, who reviews up to 80 or 90 training certificates for newly joining crew members, ensuring they meet standards of training, certification, and watchkeeping known as STCW requirements. For first-time crew, their inaugural day on board is a whirlwind. They might step onto the ship at 1 p.m. and have just a few hours before departure, at 5 p.m. to settle in, attend training, and navigate an entirely new environment. Some have never been to sea before. Their first introduction to life on board often comes from the safety officer, whose words, whether reassuring or overwhelming, leave a lasting impression. While passengers attend their own drill, the new crew undergoes familiarization training, learning about the ship's emergency equipment, escape routes, and safety protocols. On some cruise lines, this is then followed by training with the medical staff on how to stay well, and then the public safety officer with training on injury and accident prevention. Many of them will live in cabins deep within the ship, on decks below the waterline. For these crew members, finding their way through a maze of narrow corridors and steep stairways to reach the open-air lifeboat deck can be disorienting. A good safety officer doesn't just hand out instructions. They walk the crew through low-level lighting systems, exit signs, and key evacuation points, ensuring they know how to get themselves out before they're expected to guide passengers to safety. For experienced seafarers, memories of their first few days at sea often include feelings of claustrophobia, confusion, and even fear. But while a cruise ship may look like a floating holiday resort, the job itself is serious business. Every crew member is responsible for the safety of their colleagues, their passengers, and the ship as a whole. Unlike in the military or Coast Guard, cruise ship training isn't a boot camp experience, but it is an opportunity to set expectations and correct bad habits. Fire hoses don't belong in the same locker as someone's wet rubber boots, and procrastination is not an option once the ship sails. The risks are real. History has proven why crew readiness is non-negotiable. In July 1998, the Carnival Ecstasy caught fire just 3 miles from Miami shortly after departure. While there were no fatalities, 14 crew and 8 passengers were injured. Incidents like this serve as stark reminders that safety at sea is never an afterthought. It's a responsibility shared by every single person on board. Every ship, no matter its size, operates under one fundamental rule: be prepared for anything. That's where the muster list comes in. Required by SOLAS, this essential document is more than just a list. It's the ship's emergency playbook, dictating exactly who does what when things go wrong. For decades, the muster list was a simple poster pinned next to the crew mess, something everyone glanced at but rarely thought about. Today, on a modern cruise ship, it has evolved into a highly sophisticated digital system, integrated with human resource software and training databases. The safety officer is responsible for maintaining it, must ensure it's accurate, up-to-date, and ready before the ship ever leaves port. So, what's actually on this list? The muster list outlines each crew member's emergency role, from evacuation guide to firefighter, where they should go during an emergency, team structures and leadership chains, ensuring every crew member knows who they report to. Before the ship sails, every critical position must be filled, especially roles like firefighters, lifeboat commanders, medical responders, and the GMDSS, Global Maritime Distress and Safety System Officer, responsible for distress communications. On a ship with hundreds or even thousands of crew, manually keeping track of all this would be impossible. Thankfully, advanced IT systems help manage the complexity, ensuring the right people are in place at the right time. A well-maintained muster list isn't just a regulatory requirement, it's the foundation of a safe and efficient emergency response. When seconds count, there's no time for confusion. Everyone must know exactly what to do. As the sun rises on day 2, the ship is fully at sea, gliding smoothly over the waves. Passengers are settling into their holiday rhythm, lounging by the pool, trying their hand at shuffleboard, or even defying expectations by ice skating in the middle of the ocean. But for the safety officer, the work is just getting started. Yesterday's embarkation day training was only the beginning. No matter how experienced or qualified a crew member is, the sheer variety of safety technology installed across the world's cruise fleet means that specific hands-on familiarization is a must. At the top of the list, life-saving equipment. In particular, lifeboat and raft launching devices. While international safety standards exist, they haven't stopped an explosion of different hook types, release mechanisms, and launching configurations from being designed and installed. The result? A maze of complex ship-specific systems that every assigned crew member must master before an emergency ever arises. Beyond life-saving gear, there's the ship's firefighting systems is a crucial area where training cannot be taken lightly. With modern ships stretching hundreds of meters in length and rising 18 decks or more, they contain a vast network of fire hydrants, hoses, extinguishers, and high-tech suppression systems. The safety officer must ensure that new crew know exactly where critical firefighting valves, dampers, and controls are located in their designated work areas. A common-sense approach is used. Galley crew are trained in fire suppression systems for ovens, grills, and deep-fat fryers. Simple but essential techniques like using a fire blanket to smother a grease fire are reinforced. Advanced suppression systems, such as wet chemical extinguishers, are introduced to those working in high-risk areas. From lifeboat drills to firefighting training to personal safety awareness, the modern safety officer's role is to ensure that everyone on board, not just the ship itself, stays afloat. Crew members employed in deck and engineering positions are often seasoned professionals, having chosen seafaring as a lifelong career from a young age. Their backgrounds are diverse, with many having experience in the challenging cargo trade. These crew members may join a cruise ship fully trained and prepared for their duties. However, hotel department employees, often coming from land-based hotels, are typically hired for their service skills. These employees, while skilled in hospitality, need training in basic safety skills, such as handling a fire extinguisher and inflating a life raft. To ensure the crew is well prepared, the safety officer comes equipped with demonstration equipment, smaller, portable life rafts that can be inflated and rigged on deck. This provides the crew with a hands-on, 3D learning experience, helping them familiarize themselves with the equipment. Similarly, crew members may be taken down to the aft mooring deck to learn how to unroll and charge a real fire hose, spraying water over the stern. One of the crew's favorite drills involves cold water hypothermia defense techniques performed in the swimming pool with everyone in their bright orange life jackets. By the midway point of the cruise, it's time for one of the most important events on the safety officer's calendar, the weekly fire and boat drill. This drill is not to be confused with the one held on embarkation day for passengers. The fire and boat drill is designed to train the ship's specialized emergency response teams, preparing them to react to a wide variety of scenarios, from fires to flooding to oil or chemical spills. Using a what-if approach, the safety officer creates potentially hazardous situations, often using a bit of role-playing to make the drill feel as realistic as possible for the hundreds of crew members involved. Artificial smoke machines and LED lights are used to simulate a fire, triggering the ship's automatic detection systems. Once the alarm sounds, the safety officer must participate in the drill, tracking the crew's response and evaluating how well they follow the procedures. The stakes are high, as a shipboard fire can have catastrophic consequences. The drill may take place in any area of the ship, from the engine room to passenger cabins, and the safety officer plays a key role in coordinating the response at the scene. On larger ships, there may be 6 or more teams, each with 5 or more crew members. Organizing these teams requires a solid understanding of shipboard firefighting techniques. No matter where a fire occurs, the safety officer remains in constant contact with a team on the bridge, ensuring that the response is managed effectively using fire detection software, CCTV, and two-way radios. Modern cruise ships boast a wide range of firefighting technology, from self-contained breathing apparatus and thermal imaging cameras, to the more basic yet equally important tools like wrenches and spanners used to connect fire hoses. The drill trains crew members in the use of all of these specialized tools. An often overlooked but critical aspect of the drill is the flow of communication between response teams. A good safety officer understands the importance of clear and concise communication, especially in a high-pressure situation like a fire. Given that many cruise ships employ a diverse international crew, language barriers can sometimes impede effectiveness. The drill is an opportunity to evaluate how well the teams communicate under pressure, highlighting the importance of using clear and unambiguous language. This focus on teamwork, leadership, and effective communication is just as important as the use of firefighting equipment. The STCW, Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping, requirement for crisis management and human behavior courses, emphasizes the importance of these human elements in emergency situations. When it comes to keeping a cruise ship in tip-top shape, the safety officer's job is never done. The vast sea of safety equipment on board demands constant attention, and it's all hands on deck for the officer who's always on the move. From scanning the horizon for potential issues to ensuring everything is working as it should, it's a never-ending mission. Training doesn't just end at the drill. It's a chance to test, exercise, and give the ship's safety gear a thorough workout. Maintaining the machinery and systems on board is no small feat. It's governed by a maze of rules, starting with the ship's flag state, the country it's registered under, and then reinforced by the Classification Society, an organisation dedicated to keeping ships' structures and construction up to snuff. It's a well-oiled machine of regulations designed to ensure safety, and the safety officer is the one making sure it all runs smoothly. Enter the Preventive Maintenance System. Sounds technical, right? That's because it is. On the cutting-edge side of things, the cruise industry uses AMOS, Asset Management Operating System, a powerful software that organises, plans and tracks the ongoing maintenance efforts. Imagine a digital assistant that keeps the ship's safety equipment on track, reminding the safety officer when gear needs inspections, pressure tests, or maybe even a little TLC from shoreside experts. But not everything can be handled remotely. Some tasks require a good old-fashioned set of eyes on the equipment. For instance, while junior officers might inspect the ship's GMDSS antennas weekly, there are certain things that can't be fixed on board, like giving the equipment a more thorough checkup at the shipyard. That's where AMOS comes in handy, providing detailed schedules and reminders to make sure nothing gets overlooked. However, maintaining safety equipment is more than just clicking a few buttons on a computer. It's about being hands-on, knowing the ship inside out, and having an eye for the tiniest detail. A seasoned safety officer, who's been around the block with different types of ships, is like a shipboard detective, knowing exactly where to look when things go wrong. It's often the smallest issues, like a slow leak in a hydraulic cylinder, that can snowball into a major problem. Spotting that early can be the difference between keeping the ship afloat and preventing a major safety disaster. In the world of cruising, safety isn't just a job. It's a never-ending mission to make sure everything, from the smallest screw to the largest lifeboat, is ready for whatever the sea throws at it. And it's the safety officer's watchful eye that ensures everything stays shipshape. As the current cruise winds down, the safety officer already has one eye on the horizon, planning for the next embarkation day. There's no rest for the diligent. With the end of a voyage comes the end of assignments for many crew members, and for certain key positions, finding replacements is a priority. It's a lot like a seamless relay race, ensuring the baton is passed smoothly without a hitch. Just as the muster list was reviewed before embarkation, it's time for the safety officer to anticipate any changes, making sure the integrity of the list remains intact. Lifeboat commanders and emergency team leaders can't just walk off the ship at the end of their contract. They need to be replaced by capable individuals. This creates pressure for the safety officer to ensure that new crew members step right into these vital roles with ease. But no worries, thanks to advanced software systems and excellent communication between the ship and shoreside management, everything runs like clockwork. Meanwhile, cruise ships aren't just luxurious getaways. They're also like giant businesses on the water. That means meetings, and more meetings. From increased regulations to the ongoing challenge of a shortage of skilled seafarers, the crew and management teams get together to talk through it all. Feedback from the crew is gathered, safety protocols are reviewed, and adjustments are made. This is all part of the ISM code, a critical part of SOLAS, which mandates continuous improvement in safety and management. With the implementation of MLC 2006, the focus on employee welfare is expected to become even clearer in the future. For many young sailors, the allure of a seafaring career is driven by the excitement of ship handling, the art of navigating and maneuvering a ship through the open water. There's something immensely satisfying about being in control of a massive vessel. It's like the thrill of handling a European sports car, only on a grander scale. The challenge of steering a plus 230,000 GRT ship through winding waterways and crowded harbours, all the while ensuring a smooth arrival at port, is the stuff of maritime dreams. Of course, while the ship is out in open seas, much of the heavy lifting is done by autopilot and a watchful crew keeping an eye out for any obstacles. The long stretches of ocean are handled under the calm command of a few dedicated watchkeepers, ensuring the ship stays on course while the passengers enjoy the luxury of the cruise. But when it's time to enter a harbour or navigate tricky waters, that's when the real excitement begins, as the crew works together to bring the ship safely to its berth. As the ship nears port, the atmosphere on the bridge transforms, shifting from the serene rhythms of open water to the focused hustle of an impending arrival. This is when the crew levels increase, and the safety officer is no exception, joining a team of up to 7 or 8 crew members on the bridge. It's all hands on deck as the ship prepares to dock. The safety officer is a key part of the added manning necessary for these maneuvers. Bridge Resource Management, BRM, plays a critical role in this process, ensuring that all the tasks required for a safe and efficient docking are properly distributed. The team splits the responsibility for essential operations, like collision avoidance, speed control, steering, alarm monitoring, and communications, so each officer can focus on their specific duty. In the midst of all this, the safety officer isn't just there for safety oversight, they're actively involved in the operations. They'll likely be assigned one of the core tasks, and the assignments might rotate, allowing them to gain a wealth of experience with each port passage. Every docking becomes an invaluable learning opportunity, a step forward on their journey to one day take the helm themselves as a captain. It's all part of the gradual process, honing skills and gaining confidence with each successful arrival. As the cruise enters its final hours, the mooring decks at both the bow and stern come alive with activity. These areas become the heart of critical safety procedures, and it's all hands on deck as the ship prepares to dock. The deck crew, led by the bosun, typically manage the handling of winches, capstans, ropes, and other mooring equipment. But when conditions demand, the safety officer steps in to ensure everything runs smoothly and safely. The level of involvement depends on the specifics of the operation. If the ship is taking on a tugboat for extra assistance, facing challenging weather, or navigating an unfamiliar port, the safety officer may be called upon to oversee the operation. Their presence adds an extra layer of vigilance and ensures that all safety protocols are adhered to during these critical moments. In maritime operations, communication is key, and if the workload intensifies, the safety officer's role on deck becomes even more crucial. By assisting with the coordination and providing extra support, they help ensure the operation proceeds safely and efficiently. This teamwork, led by the master's decision to involve the safety officer, is what guarantees a smooth and safe arrival as the ship concludes its voyage. A week in the life of a cruise ship safety officer is nothing short of dynamic. From overseeing safety technology to ensuring that human factors are never overlooked, these professionals balance a multitude of tasks to keep everything running smoothly. They remain vigilant across the ship, ensuring that all safety systems function properly, while always being aware of the critical role human beings play in maintaining safety. While the cruise industry has made incredible strides thanks to technological advances, the tools themselves are only as effective as the people who understand them. Knowledge of operation, maintenance, and the limitations of these systems is essential for ensuring safety on board. In recent years, there has been a greater recognition of the invaluable role seafarers play in the maritime industry and the economic impact they have globally. The International Maritime Organization, IMO, declared 2010 the Year of the Seafarer, an initiative to bring awareness to the dedication and sacrifices of those who work at sea. The ongoing implementation of the Maritime Labour Convention, MLC, of 2006 aims to improve personal safety for seafarers, bringing with it the potential for positive change in working conditions. For progress to continue, open dialogue between those on board and those creating policies ashore is crucial. Just as we no longer accept the physical toll of the past, like missing fingers from accidents at sea, we must evolve further and not tolerate issues such as chronic fatigue or social isolation. Addressing these basic human needs will only contribute to safer ships and a more sustainable future for the maritime industry. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me giving you an insight into my role on board. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more ship insights coming soon.